Hi, and welcome to our show tonight. This is Vets Helping Vets, and I am your host, Jillian Jans. With me is... Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sue Ackerlin with Adopt a Soldier.
There we go. Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. We really appreciate it. I'm going to start off the show by reminding our veterans who are watching out there to make sure that you are checking the VA website for the most up-to-date information on how the VA hospitals and nursing homes are handling the coronavirus outbreak. Pandemic now, I guess.
Yeah.
Ugh. But so please be looking at that because I know the nursing homes are not accepting any visitors whatsoever unless the person is on hospice, which then you're only allowed to go to the room, as of last I heard. And then the hospitals themselves are really trying to get telehealth, really just to be taking over things. But today we have the Adopt a Soldier with us, and that has the website that we're going to suggest you go visit at, which is right here. Whoa, there's my finger. And do you want to tell them what the website is?
Yes, the website's piatoneaas.org.
I thought it was Piatone, but I wasn't sure.
Right. Little town, but
that's
little but mighty.
Fun, good times. I had a boyfriend who lived there one time. But anyway, so so how did you get involved in helping veterans?
Well, my father's a veteran, and
What branch was he in?
He was in Army.
Okay.
And didn't speak a lot about it, so I didn't know a lot about it. Mm-hmm. But then two of my sons on 9/11 came home from high school, and Mom were joining, and I said, "Well, wait a minute, what are you doing?" Mm-hmm. And so it was in my lap, and through the course of that time period,
So that you mentioned your sons are Marines, correct?
Two sons Marine Corps, yes.
So what made them choose that branch?
I don't know. Bullheadedness, maybe.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been maybe Air Force or something because I can remember when they were little.
Yeah.
They played Top Gun all the time.
Okay.
I should have known then that they were bound to join the military, but
awesome.
It was Marine Corps. Yep.
Well, Semper Fi. So there was an event that set you kind of on this path. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, the path of founding Adopt a Soldier was my experience as a military mom. I found myself as a fish out of water. Okay. And it took a long time and a lot of new lingo and a lot of things that I realized they took. They took my kids to boot camp or basic training, and here I was at home with no training at all.
Right.
So fast forward through the years, I realized I wasn't alone, and that there needed to be something. And what started out as Adopt a Soldier has grown through the years and come full circle to cover everything we do now.
That's fantastic. Okay. So my husband, John, was a Marine as well. So when were your boys deployed? If they're Marine Corps, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, one was not.
Okay.
And my one son did 2 deployments in Iraq.
Okay.
During Iraqi freedom. And
what years was he there?
I knew you'd ask me that, and it kind of all goes together for me.
Yeah. All the years blend together.
They do.
When did he join? Let's start with that.
He joined right out of high school. Let's see. He graduated. Probably 2000 and the end of 2001, beginning of 2002, and then he joined.
Okay, so he graduated right after 9/11. Then.
Exactly. He graduated that year. The other son was...
Okay. My husband and I were both in high school. We were freshmen. Well, I was a freshman. He was a sophomore.
Okay.
During it. So then he joined. He was in... he joined summer... Because he didn't turn 18 until July after he graduated.
Okay.
But he signed up at 17, so then he was gone in September for boot camp. And then he deployed during Operation Iraqi Freedom as well, and he was in Ramadi, Iraq from September of 04 to April of 05.
You never know. He might know.
That's
why
I'm
small military world there, right?
Oh no, I lied. It was September of 05 to April of 06. That was my bad. I don't want to be giving inconsistent information here.
We'll hear it when we get home.
Exactly. I'll never hear the end of it. But so anyway, okay. So what are some of the core things that your organization does?
Okay. I get this a lot because we named it Adopt a Soldier, which had I known then the path that this organization would go on, I probably would have named it something else. But when I named it, it was kind of a selfish thing when I started it because it was about what I had experienced. and the loneliness as a military parent, not finding the support that I felt I needed. Then when my son came home after deployments, and I realized there was something different, I did not know where to turn or how to educate myself. So Adopt a Soldier started as, a lot of these organizations that support our troops.
Right.
Care packages and these kinds of things. What I did know I wanted to do was embrace the family.
Mm-hmm.
So
include them into what the military life and military, just everything is.
Exactly. In other words, we have a coining ceremony. So when a young person decides to join the military, Adopt a Soldier likes to embrace them, and we do what we call a coining ceremony or a send-off party, and we'll take them at any point of their military journey. But that's kind of prime, because at that point I get the parents. So the kids go off to basic training or boot camp, and we embrace the family. We let that young soldier, Marine know, hey, you go do your mission. We've got your back at home.
Yeah.
We'll take care of mom, dad, little brother, sister. We'll help them however they need.
Right.
So that's how that idea started.
Okay.
And then if you check on the website, it'll tell you, we've got 3 categories, which is our troops and soldiers, and then it goes to the families. And then we started to involve the veterans when I realized what an important role that they played in, number one, my education.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then there's a void when your loved one is serving, and I don't know if you went through this, but that you could have, 10 people at your family table for a holiday, and that one that's missing, that's a void that's hard to fill.
Yeah.
And I realized that by going out and helping veterans, especially during the holidays, is how it started. I was kind of filling that void. I was doing something that my child, military member, would be proud of. Mm-hmm. And without knowing, it was also, I was serving at home.
Right.
And so I was also filling that void.
We've talked about it before on here. I'm sure that our viewers know, but we have such a difficult time around the holidays with the veterans themselves, because they're here and their mind and their heart are still back over there.
That's right.
Because they lost somebody over there, or they served during this time of year, and it's a reminder of whatever else. And there's crowds, and they hate crowds, and there's things that just aren't good for the overall family. But so we have the we have the Adopt a Soldier website up here that she was talking about. Stories that are the troops, veterans, and families. Is there anything you'd like me to talk about on the website? We're going to scroll down here.
This basically just gives a little bit of an overview of why those 3 categories need our support. And then it'll start to tell you how we realize that if you were to take these 3 points and form a circle around it, that as we were helping the veterans as families, thinking we were serving them, we realized we were building a support network, that now we were engaging with these veterans on a regular basis. We were learning from them, they were learning from us. Then when our loved ones come home, our son or daughter or husband, wife, whatever, we're like, hey, we really want you to meet our friend.
Right.
Army veteran so-so. And so this support system in a civilian world starts to take place.
Yes.
And so it's really come full circle.
That's fantastic. Okay, so give us an example of some of the family support.
Family support is, I'll tell you, it has ranged from getting a call from a mother of a Marine that her father had been rushed to the hospital. She couldn't remember how to get them home. How do I do this? Called us. We called up the Red Cross. We made arrangements to get that person home. We can arrange the vehicle, get them to the hospital type of thing.
My husband and my husband, who was, when he just got back from Ramadi, his father was dying. Mm-hmm. So that was, he was Red Crossed home. And then I believe that my cousin-in-law as well, she was a drill, she was a drill instructor in the Marine Corps. She is still active in the Marine Corps, but her mother was passing. So that was, so we have lots of experience with the Red Crossing people home. So that's nice to have a liaison between the two.
Exactly. It's, at that point for that family in particular, mom wanted to stay at the hospital, and, she didn't have the time or the energy to be able to.
the presence of mind to be
That's
able to do
right,
all that
right.
kind of stuff.
So, that's one way we've helped the families. We've helped families from they couldn't afford to go to the send-off or go to a graduation by themselves because it's expensive.
Yeah.
Adopt a Soldier has been able to help with hotel rooms or airfare, to as little as when a child's at boot camp. I say child, I'm old, and reminding that parent, don't let little sister, color on the outside of the envelope when they go to boot camp and spray perfume because brother or sister's going to get the what for. So it has ranged, and that's been surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. So then how about some examples of the veteran mentoring?
The veteran mentoring, this has been just a blessing. Again, as I said, as we are touching base with these veterans and we are connecting, therefore now we're connecting to on a personal level so that when our kids come home or whatever, we've got someone. What I found was oftentimes when our loved one comes home and PTSD becomes something that we're aware of, we're not educated on it. We're not educated on it. No. We believe a lot of lies.
And the kicker is, I found, is that the TBI was a lot of what they would put the focus on, because the TBI was something tangible that they could test for, that they could whatever. PTSD is more of a, it's an emotional, just thing that you don't have the words to describe unless you've dealt with it, seen it in person, like that kind of stuff. And if you don't know it and you don't know to be aware of it, guess what happens? You have people who end up down a hole, and then that's why our suicide rate is what it is.
And that's exactly it. And what we realize with the veteran mentorship is, I guess fortunately or unfortunately, how I look at it as a fortunate thing, I have, Adopt Soldier has been reached out to when a young veteran or two that we've dealt with has attempted suicide. And we were called in. And I realized at that point that it's not, again, always going to be family. It may be somebody that knows them only as a veteran. As my own son, I couldn't really help him. So as this has progressed, and we've had some of these kids that have, their lives have been saved, and they go to the VA and they are getting their counseling and they're getting meds or whatever. I've had some parents that'll call and say, "Oh, he's doing well," and I just sit back because unfortunately I know, not to bash the VA. Okay,
no, you can't count your chickens before they hatch.
That's right. So what we quickly realized, I saw it come full circle, is when one of my mothers reached out and said that her son was doing well. He was, going to his appointments, taking his meds, and then all of a sudden one day I called to check on her, and she just broke. I'm afraid I'm going to come home and he's going to have taken his life. And as cold as it may sound, I said, "Okay, are you ready for the truth now?"
Yeah.
And at that point, I was able to reach out to Adopt a Soldier's small group that we'd like to get bigger of veterans, and I was able to give them a veteran who was a combat veteran in Vietnam, the contact that older veteran who has PTSD, has owned it, has a handle on it right now, became a mentor for this young veteran that so needed that help.
So are you guys looking for other veterans who are interested in?
We are always looking for some.
Okay. That's something that, I know that's a great thing. I know that's something that there's a organization, I want to say, like Warriors to Warriors or something like that, where they do it's a line, like a suicide prevention line, where it's manned only by people who have been in combat, stuff like that, because you can only understand that and help these kind of people if you've been in that situation, because we'll never understand it.
No,
we can empathize, we can understand everything that goes into it, but we can't understand what it's really like. And that's something that I acknowledge that I think you see too. Like it's something that it has to be handled with extreme care, but at the same time it has to be handled. Otherwise you lose the person. Like that's
exactly. And there's a lot of lies that go along that, which I think education is going to help, and the only ones that can educate it are those of us that caregive.
Yes.
Those of us that, as we'll talk about, we call our Teal Star families, which we're working on. Those that their loved one is a casualty of PTSD, because there's lies out there that,
Yeah.
Well, I'll know my child. I'll know my husband. I'll know my wife. I'll know. They'll come to me. Or the battle buddies. They'll come to me. I'll know. That's the biggest lies that that we're told in our mind.
Yeah, well, we're telling it to ourselves to make ourselves feel better.
Exactly.
So, can you tell me how being part of this organization has helped you?
Gosh, me personally, I just think that I just feel like it's a passion, it's a mission that I've been placed on for whatever reason, and I think just being able to have my boys that served say, Mom, we're so proud of you for what you're doing for our brothers and sisters. That just
Fills you up with
that fills me up, and even the veterans that through the years that I have become friends with, that I have taken to VA appointments and fought the VA for things, and tried to reintroduce or let them own their PTSD for the first time and be that shoulder that they're crying on.
It's such a stigma that has to be combated only with understanding and compassion from the people who have not been there, and then it's on the people who have gotten the PTSD to then from there be able to own it.
Absolutely.
But such a huge part of it is on us as civilians to be able to hear their stories, to be able to listen to what they have to say without being just offended or being, I can't believe that happened. No, it did happen.
Yes.
It happened to this person.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that is unbelievable and
that
horrible.
was their norm.
Right, that you had to hear it verbally. That's it. This person lived these kind of things.
Right.
And the burden that they bear by doing and being in all the things that go into being at war, it should be something that we're willing to share and willing to, willing to carry with them when they come home. And part of that is destigmatizing PTSD. And that's a huge thing that it seems like your organization is being very apt at being a part of.
Yes,
so
yes.
You're also involved with the Teal Star families. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Teal Star Family is something that was put on my heart and several years ago with the 22 plus we lose a day. Absolutely ridiculous. It's epidemic. And being a Blue Star family, I know that the
Okay, so let's start with what a Blue Star family is.
For those that don't know, Blue Star family is a family that has someone that is currently serving. So if you have 2 serving, 3 serving, or whatever, you are a Blue Star family. Then we have our Gold Star families, which are held in very high esteem.
Absolutely.
And embraced. It's a flag, a star that nobody wants. But it's a star.
They were lost in combat.
Yes, they were KIA. And
in action.
Yes, thank you. See, look at us. I'm getting to be like, I'm Miss Military.
After a certain amount of time, you start doing that. You do.
Yeah. And back when I was a new mom, I did,
and people would be saying, and I would tune people out when they would do that because I didn't understand what they were talking about. So that's why I kind of make it a point, just in case somebody who's watching this has no idea what our acronyms mean.
Exactly.
But so now to the Teal Star, what is?
So in this process, 5 years ago, we started a awareness walk. It was a 22-mile rock march. To bring awareness to PTSD. And some of my kids, and I say kids because almost all of my adopted military members, I call them my kids. I kept saying awareness is not enough. I hate the word awareness. Everybody's aware of it. We need to start to have action. And so last year I was called to action and didn't know how to take the steps, but I did. We have had people that have walked our ruck march and reached out to us and said, hey, I know somebody that needs help that just tried to commit suicide. What can you do? AKA, we step in and do what we can. Last year, I got a call from someone that walked our ruck march that one of her very dear friends' brother had taken his own life. And she said, Sue, can adopted soldier do something? Can you go to the funeral? And I'm embarrassed to tell you. I thought, I've been to homeless veterans' funerals. I have been to those that have been killed in action, been on the roadside to honor them and give the respects. But I hesitated because it was something different. And that word suicide was on there. And so I hesitated. But then, fast forward, I'll go quickly. I thought, nope, can't do this. And I decided to go. And I went, and it probably was the most emotional thing, more so than burying my own parents. Okay? So
we had my husband's cousin who was up north in Wisconsin. He committed suicide. He was a soldier, and he committed suicide a year to the day after his sister, who was a neurosurgeon, committed suicide. So the mom lost both kids, and those were two of the hardest things. Like,
Yeah.
and it's hard to watch. Like,
It is.
My husband gave her mom. His mom a coin though that was from the gold. He had gotten it from Gold Star Moms at one of the events we were at, so he gave her that coin. He's like, just so you know, because we didn't. This is the first time I've ever heard of Teal Star, so that's
It's not a thing yet.
okay. Well, then there we go.
It's not a thing yet.
But this is a great way to make it a thing. I like
and
this.
that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
And so I ended up, we went to the funeral, came back home, thought, okay, I did my deed. Realized that wasn't enough, reached out to the family. And it fast forwarded our ruck march. I finally reached out to them and said, can we do this ruck this year in honor of your husband and your sons? Honor his service and embrace you. I'd like to embrace you as the first Teal Star family. And I have to tell you, it was the hardest thing I had to do to reach out to what was strangers. And now that's my daughter, his widow. And Adopt a Soldier has been able to be there, not just myself, but other members of our group. And what I can say for this is, when we start to get these families to feel comfortable and feel embraced and not to hide behind that word, that their member deserves to be honored for their service, that family needs to be embraced, I think they'll start to share their stories, as painful as it is.
We'll start to learn more about what leads up to it.
Exactly.
Okay, absolutely.
Exactly. And so we did. We presented them and embraced them as the first Teal Star family. And then, of course, K9 for Veterans went to the memorial opening.
The Forgotten Warrior Memorial.
That's
yes.
right. And I said, I've got to meet this Michael. And I think he's going to be a great help to our organization and us to be able to really embrace these families. And
Absolutely. It was. I was there as well for the Forgotten War Memorial. It was raining that day. It was
yes,
really
it
cold.
was. Yeah.
But it's for those of you who don't know, it was Mike is the founder, and he put it. It's for a memorial of people who have committed suicide. It's even hard for me to say it.
I like the term casualties of PTSD.
Yeah, that's a lot easier to. But so it's for that, and it has the names of the different branches, people who have been taken by this casualty of PTSD, we will call it.
There you go.
So
There you go.
it's on K9sd.org. You can find the memorial, and we're going through some pictures and stuff here. And then besides that, oh, look, there's my husband. He's in the middle. He's on the flag. That's him. I'm such a dork. So, but anyway, it was a wonderful talking with you, and we're going to wrap up the show because we have 1 minute left.
Okay.
And I'm going to remind everybody, like I said, check the VA website before you go in for any of your appointments or anything like that. Especially, I'm going to say locally, like our Hines and Jesse Brown. Make sure that they're still taking patients and all of that, because you never know if they cancel it and then they don't tell you or something, because you know how the VA is.
Oh, yes, yes.
So, but thank you guys very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Well, not next week, a few weeks.
Few weeks?
Yes.
All right.
So,
And
thank you very much.
thank you.